Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Glory Glory Manchester United podcast. I'm your host, as always, Kyle Quinn, and join me today is Brishy. How's it going, mate?
Ah, what a night. What a night, Carl. This club is going to be the death of us, you know.
Yeah, it was a real roller coaster ride, I have to say. I was at full time. I was physically and mentally exhausted after all that.
Mate, I didn't know what to think come the full time whistle. I felt like I just got knocked out by Mike Tyson.
Yeah, so many emotions at the end there, and
It took
United.
me a good 5 minutes, Carl, to really process and comprehend what had transpired. Like just yeah, like you say, just a roller coaster of emotion from start to finish. Where do we start?
I'm still, yeah, I'm still processing it now. I mean,
Yeah,
I just United conceded 4 goals in a row at home and still won the game.
yeah. It's madness, absolute madness. We were speaking about the first leg, right? Where, there was two silly errors, and we should have been going into this game 2-0 up comfortably anyway. And then, we come out flying. Um, Bruno had one or two brilliant chances, especially the first one, which would have been one of the goals of the season had it gone in. And so unfortunate not to as well. Hit first time on the volley, off the crossbar. Keeper had no chance. It should have been in. It deserved it. Um, and, we're 2-0 up and we're cruising, cruise control. No other problems. Second half kicks off. Garnacho has a one-on-one, a criminal chance. I understand the confidence in that, but it's one thing having the confidence of CR7, but you need to be able to back that up with the finish. If not, you lay it off for the simple tap in because the striker's there. You need to pick him out, and we had so many chances during the 90 minutes. It really could have been four or five, and it wasn't. And then it's always that ticking time bomb in it with this club and with this group of players. So at 2-1, jammy goal as well that they get as well in it goes over the top. Lenny Euro's there. He takes a ball to the face, so he's kind of dazed and confused. And then Anana does an Anana special. Initially, I'm pissed off because I'm thinking, oh, he's parried it back out, and Laka with the easy tap in. But then the replay shows no, it didn't even need that. It was more of an Andy Carroll type situation because Tagliafico beat him. Just ridiculous, really. And then we let our heads drop. They get back into it somehow at 2-2. You're stressed. They go down to 10, gives us a bit of confidence, and then out of nowhere they take the lead, and then to make matters worse, 4-2, and everyone's dejected, down and out. We see people in the stadium leaving. Some of us even at home, walking off, throwing the remotes at the TV and whatnot. And then we get a break with the penalty for Bruno. And then at that stage, I'm just hoping and praying that we can somehow get another one to take it into pens. But what happened after that? Oh, stuff of dreams. Stuff of absolute dreams, Kyle.
Yeah, I thought the 4-3 against Liverpool in the FA Cup was good last season, but that just tops a lot.
I'll
And
tell you what, that was the most intense European night, probably since PSG.
yeah, it was, and it was probably better than that. And
Yeah. Like, listen, my heart rate was through the roof, mate. For a good hour after that, I I realized at that point as well, I'm getting too old for this. I was genuinely concerned for a little bit. I was like, oh, my heart rate is not coming down.
yeah, I just couldn't take it anymore. I think when I
Yeah,
was celebrating Maguire's goal, I just had to kind of
yeah.
take deep breaths and calm down then after it, you know.
It was so mental as well because at the same time it was relief, it was jubilation, and so much anger as well. But in that moment, the anger kind of subsided a little bit. But then once I calmed down, that came back because honestly, from the position we were in, we should have just seen it out. But we can never do things the easy way, can we?
No, never. And yeah, United started the game so well, as you say, we were in cruise control, and then of course, when we concede one, we always concede another.
Yeah.
And then they were when they went down to 10 men, they were actually
hmm
dominating with 10
So
men.
one of my concerns, the amount of yellow cards that were flying around, I definitely thought somebody might get sent off here. So that, excuse me, wasn't too much of a surprise. But then I was thinking, when sometimes on paper you think it's an advantage, right? When a team goes down to 10, but then sometimes they just solidify and it makes them harder to break down. They become a bit more compact. So that was a worrying concern as well for me. So when they took the lead and went 3-2 up, I was like, oh, geez, we're in it now. I don't really know how we're going to get back into this. And Anana, another mixed night from Anana in it. There was one or two brilliant saves, but then we saw the worst of him as well. The Tagliafico one was absolutely horrific. The Ryan Cherky one, I thought he could have done better, to be honest. The header, at first, I was quite harsh, but I think it looks worse because he doesn't dive. On reflection, I do think it was quite far in the corner. So even had he dived, that probably would have gone in. But it just looks worse, those kind of ones, when you're just stood there watching instead of actually diving.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too harsh on him last night. He did make a brilliant
Yeah,
save low to his
he
right.
did. Yeah, but that's the thing. You see the best and worst of him. Like the Tagliafico one, that's criminal. Come on now, you can't be doing that.
Which goal was that?
The Tagliafico one was the one where he dug it out from the back of the net, and then Lacazette, had the.
All right, but it was already in
But
anyway.
it was already in. Yeah, yeah, it was one of them. And that was the one where just before that happened, Lenny Euro had gone down and he took a ball to the face. So I'm guessing he was quite disorientated as well. So he was there, um, and wasn't really doing the best of jobs, in marking that. So the shot was on, and I just felt that Onana could have done better there.
I thought Lanier had a very mixed night as well. It was
Yeah, yeah, but I'll tell you what, though, given his age, I'm always more impressed than I am disappointed with him. The things that he's showing me at his age, I just think in a couple of years' time, I think we're gonna have a real player on our hands.
yeah, it was his attacking play with Mason Mount that led to the red card as well. Some
Hmm.
really good marauding runs, bursting out from the defence straight down the middle, taking the game to Lyon. But then he made some howlers at the back that led to chances for Lyon. But then again, he made a John Terry-esque block with his head on the ground at one stage.
I tell you what, it gave me flashbacks of Phil Jones back in the day. You
Yeah,
remember the amount of faces he used to make, and he used to really put his body on the line. You'll probably, if you Google it, you'll find clips of the one I'm talking about, where where it's
yeah.
come off his head, and he's just tried his absolute best to keep it out.
There's
But it
one
reminded me of that.
Phil Jones tackled Giroud with his head. I remember that one,
Yeah.
Old Trafford. Um, yeah, and Diogo Dallo, we've seen everything from Diogo Dallo last night. Absolutely
Yep.
everything. Well taken goal. He couldn't have put that
Yep.
any more perfectly into the corner, out of the reach of the goalkeeper, hit in off the post, and the goalkeeper was not going to reach it. Um,
Absolutely.
he would have assisted that. Uh, what would have been an incredible goal by Bruno Fernandes that hit the cross.
Hmm.
That was like a 70-yard pass from Dallo. But then
Yeah.
the defensive frailties were there for all to see as well. The Cherky goal, Dallo was horrendous for that goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, first of all, not winning his tackle, and then the passiveness of not closing Jerky down. He's
Hmm.
just standing there with his hands behind his back and never gets close enough and again, so many crosses coming in from his side where he always stands about 5 yards off his man. He just never seems to doesn't seem to have the confidence to go in and close people down. He's afraid of getting skint. So yeah, we've seen absolutely everything from Dallo last night. Yeah,
Hmm.
some his supporters will say that was an amazing attacking performance, but the more sensible people like us will say,
Yeah.
the first thing you need to do as a right back is defend, and you can't do that, mate.
And you can't do it. Yeah. That's the thing.
Yeah,
But yeah, incredible, isn't it? So yesterday, I mean, at the end, like I say, it took a while for it all to sink in, really. And then by the end of it, it was just more relief and jubilation than anything. So I didn't even want to really try and pick apart any of the blunders or anything else that had happened. And I'm just grateful that we're in, that we've made it through. I don't know how, but by hook or by crook, we're here. And all the fans will be feeling this today, and I'm sure the players as well. So whatever this feeling is that we've had for the past 12, 13 hours, I just need to bottle it, and I need them to channel it in the right manner against Athletic Bilbao to make sure this kind of thing doesn't happen again.
yeah. Another thing I want to touch on is Casemiro. Now, I was one of those fans who was thinking, no way can he play 120 minutes
Hmm.
plus all the
Hmm.
additional time, and was calling for him to come off because at times
Yeah,
he looked off the
yeah,
pace, especially when he's
yeah.
running back. but he got two assists and he won the penalty. So he had a hand in all three
It,
of the
mate,
goals that we
his
got at the end.
experience came in absolute clutch. I'm in the same boat as you. I mean, I have heard some people like go off the deep end today and say, "Oh no, it's fine. This is why he's there. We should keep him." I'm still of the opinion that in the summer, if the opportunity presents itself, we should move on. But obviously, if he is here, this is what he can provide on occasion. That experience was bound to come in handy at some point, and I'm glad it was yesterday.
Yeah. So as I say, he won the penalty. It wasn't initially given,
Yeah.
but it went to VAR. The referee looked at the screen, and then the penalty was given.
hmm And then Maguire had a call as well. And then initially I didn't think it was a pen, but then I saw it from another angle,
Yeah.
and you can see there was clearly a tug on the shirt.
Yeah, he had grabbed hold of his. I thought that was a clear penalty as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Lovely assist for
yeah.
Casemiro for Maguire's goal, and then
Oh, fantastic,
he was the one
fantastic.
he was the one who played the ball to Manu, and what a finish that was. How
Yeah.
many times have we seen
Oh,
Manu do that?
cool, calm, and collected. Such composure from the young man. I don't know if it's a mixture of that and his new haircut as well, but he looks more mature now. I described it as more of like the celebration as well. I just thought it was a coming of age moment for him. I thought that is proper clutch. Um, yeah, yeah, and in that final third as well, man. Like, because I know people have hyped him up and they've talked about similarities and comparisons to Seedorf. I thought it was a bit early for all of that, but then I saw that yesterday and I think, you know what? Yeah, I see it. I see elements of that in there.
Yeah, he scored that type of goal against Liverpool, against Wolves. Yeah, he
Yep,
loves to just cut in on his right foot and
yep.
curl it into
And
the
I'll tell
top
and I'll
corner.
tell you what, Carl, I couldn't be happier for the main man who got the winner because, I've been very critical of him over the last however many years. It's really only last season and this season where I've been all right with Maguire. And he's been through a lot at this club and he absolutely deserves that moment. He deserves his flowers.
Yeah, most definitely. He has come back in a massive way.
Yeah.
He was down and out.
Yeah, that captain's armband was weighing him down as well, man. So away from the pressure of that as well, he's just carrying on with his football. He always just got his head down, worked hard, and it's all paying off. So I'm so happy for him. I'm chuffed.
And now he's the first name in the team sheet at the back and the
Yeah.
first name in the team sheet up front.
So it seems
Yeah,
not a bad option up front, huh?
I think he's our best striker, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, Rasmus again. It was one of those nights for poor Rasmus, man. And I'll tell you what, there was you could see his frustration as well. There was the one where he just kicked at the post and that. It's a weird one, isn't it? Because on you see some of the chances and you think, oh, yeah, Garnacho really should have squared that one. It would have been a simple tap in. But then there's other times when the ball does come to him and he just messes it up. So, can you really blame the Wideman for not having confidence in him? So it's a bit of a weird one. Depends how you look at it.
Yeah, and when Menu and Mount came on, they were pressing so well, putting
Hmm
Lyon defenders under pressure. Hoyland was doing none of that. I was watching it
Yeah.
throughout the game, and you seen the other nine outfield players, you know, sprinting from side to side, chasing people down, constantly on the move, and he
hmm
is just at times he's just walking around, not
Yeah.
really, not really making himself busy and putting people under
hmm
pressure. He looked like he's starting to l- give the body language of someone who doesn't want to be there anymore, if I'm being brutally honest.
Yeah.
It wasn't, it was really like, see, when you're not scoring goals, you
hmm
you can offset that by
Yeah.
putting in effort. Remember, we used to talk about Veikors, didn't score any
Yeah.
goals,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
boy, did he
But
put
he
in
used to put a
effort.
shift in. He put an
Yeah,
absolute shift in, whereas you don't really see the same. But different sort of striker, I guess. This one doesn't really drop back.
yeah, it was. I think we're probably going to be going forward this season.
Yeah.
I think it'll be better off playing without a striker or else Maguire up top. What do you think?
Yeah, honestly, when I was looking at that bench as well, Carl, I was like, well, we've got no, actual forward, and then you're looking at who the hell can make all the difference coming on off the bench, and we've got a few midfielders, and then I had flashbacks to sort of early 2010s Spain when they used to play with no striker, but obviously totally different levels there. But you remember when they just had a whole bunch of midfielders? It's kind of what started this whole false nine revolution that we've seen over the years, over the last decade or so.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 2010 World Cup.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Euros 2012. Because by then I don't even think they really used David Villa and Torres by 2012 like that. It was just a whole bunch of midfielders.
It feels like such a long time ago now, but it
Hmm.
was a lovely move for Manuel Ugarte's goal involving Bruno,
Oh,
Garnacho.
absolutely. Absolutely. Both of them working in tandem. The cutback from Garnacho as well. And yeah, brilliant finish. And he's a player who's coming for a lot of criticism as well. And I think we've defended him quite a fair bit on this channel. I just think that there's false expectations on Ugarte, because a lot of people misprofile the kind of player he is. He is somewhat limited, but at what he does, he's pretty good. So it's nice to see him up the other end and chip in with stuff like this as well. Things to his game that you don't usually expect or associate with the player.
Yeah, it's good to see him chip in with the odd goal now. And we've talked about how he's just a destroyer and doesn't really
Yep.
offer much creativity. But if
Hmm.
he can get on the end of things, then he's added another string to his bow. And
Absolutely. If he can give that to us just 4 or 5 times a season, that's invaluable. That
so I thought Patrick Dorgu really struggled night. He was very very poor. I felt,
I thought
he
it was a
was
bit of a mixed night for him. But with him, I give him a lot of leeway just because he is so
and
young
and
and because of where he's come from.
and he was directly up against Jerky. He was just
Hmm.
getting him the runaround. He just could not get near him.
Yeah, yeah.
He does look like a quality player, to be
I-
honest.
I'll tell you what, it's very interesting with Cherky because he's obviously got the talent, but sometimes he gives me Adil Tarabt vibes as well. So he's one of those that he could go either way. It just really depends on his attitude and who can bring the best out of him. But there is a very tempting release clause in his contract of 22.5 million euros, which works out to be about 19 million pounds. So I'm sure there'll be a queue of clubs in the summer willing to take a punt on him.
Yeah, I would say so. I don't think he'll be in Lyon next season.
No, no, definitely not. And then given the purse strings at United, I certainly wouldn't mind if we were to look at him either, because we could do with a 10 as well as a striker. And there's so many areas that need fixing. You need to be quite money savvy and
Yeah,
look for bargains and things.
yeah, and I know you don't like it, but we're heading in the direction of Mateus Cunha. He seems the favorite at the moment to be number 10.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, I don't think he's a bad player by any means. I just think it's a bit underwhelming. But that's just me.
Yeah. So bizarrely, Mazrahi come off at half time, and we
Hmm.
for Luke Shaw. We did not. I thought Shaw might come on for Dorgu because
Yeah.
was having a difficult time against Zerke. That's what I was thinking. But Mazrahi came.
Um,
So we heard it full time from the
mhm.
manager that both Mazrahi and Lindelof had to go home because of a family emergency, and they were
Yeah.
both independent of each other.
Yeah.
And both left the stadium at half time. Never heard of that. Two players happening at
Yeah,
the
it's
same time.
very strange. So I can't confirm this. So these are just the rumors that have been circulating that allegedly with Maz, it was to do with a break-in at his house.
I thought so.
Yeah, yeah. So if that's the case, then that's fair enough. It's quite a brave call from the manager to
What
make
about
that.
Lindelof?
I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one. I've heard about the Maz thing, so we'll
Yeah,
need
and
confirmation.
if your partner and your kids are in the house at the
Yeah,
time, then you can
yeah,
understand.
exactly. So that's a big decision to make as well, and that's I stand by that. To be fair.
So Luke Shaw came on and played, from halftime onwards, and
Ah.
he's good on the ball as he always is. Some lovely deliveries into the middle. Him and
Hmm.
Harry Maas, I love them. Both of them down the left flank towards the end of the game, causing problems for Tema and Leon. But he gave the penalty away. Obviously, he looks off the pace. He looks overweight, if I'm
He
honest.
does. He does look a bit big, yeah. Because I've always defended him, but yeah, he does. But again, he's been out of the game for so long, so I suppose it's to be expected.
And
I was gutted actually for him personally that he was the one that gave away the pen. I was like, oh, here we go. To top it all off, he's done that now, so he's going to get absolutely crucified. Amongst the fan base and in the socials and whatnot.
yeah, he must have been relieved at the end.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very, very lucky. Very lucky. He must have been the most relieved,
But
honestly.
yeah, but the manager had very little choice really. If he can't bring Lindelof on for Mazrahi,
Hmm.
and they're both away at half time, there weren't any other options on the bench to come on and play centre half. So
Yeah.
That was it. He had to go with him. And,
Hmm.
it's for him to play, whether he playing 75 minutes plus additional time, that's a big ask for someone who's been out of the game so long. But
Definitely.
yeah, he came through it
Yeah.
by giving the penalty away. But yeah, it's good to see him back fit anyway. And thankfully, the penalty
Yep.
giveaway, it wasn't,
Hmm.
it didn't cost us the game or the tie. So,
Thankfully.
but I thought Mason Mount and Kobe Manu made such a difference. And if I'm being honest, I thought they should have come on much earlier than the 87th minute. How do you
Hmm.
feel about that, Bruce?
Yeah, definitely. I thought they could have come on a bit earlier, but you know what the thing is, right? So had we scored three and just secured everything in normal time, I felt like that would have given us then, the freedom to then experiment and bring players on and make substitutions. Um, Whereas when you're under pressure as well, it must be difficult to make those changes, just because you're unsure. So I kind of understood why it took as long as it did with the way things transpired. But yeah, I certainly would have liked to have seen them a bit earlier.
Yeah, in Amarim's defense,
Hmm.
he probably didn't want to, he needed to have at least one defensive midfielder on the pitch. He can't.
Yeah, that's the thing, Carl. Because I was thinking at 2-0, mate. I was like, I would love to be able to make wholesale changes now, keep everyone fresh. But then if you concede one and we're under the cosh, then it can totally change the balance of things.
Isn't it amazing though that Casemiro can play 120 minutes plus additional
Hmm.
time, which Ugarte always gets taken off, and he's a much
Hmm.
younger man, 10 years younger. How can that be?
Yeah.
You know. But, so Casemiro has to be wrapped up in cotton wool now for the Europa League matches, no doubt about that.
Listen, rotation, rotation, rotation. That is what we need now for the league. Completely, just listen, play the kids. Hopefully, we learned our lessons from Newcastle as well when Xerxes got injured. He's another one. We should have played Cheeto in hindsight and just rested him. We can't afford any of our senior players to get injured. It's all on the Europa League now.
Yeah, because
The league is pretty much gone anyway. Like there's
we've
nothing we're gonna do there.
and we've already seen a key player in Xerxes getting injured in a pointless league
Exact,
match.
exactly, in a pointless match, in a match that we all said we weren't going to win anyway. Even if we played our full 11, full strongest 11, it would have been a difficult match coming up against this Newcastle squad. And I'll tell you what, because I was looking at their front six, Carl, and I was like, if I'm being honest, the only player that probably gets in is Bruno Fernandes. And even that, the other night, I was watching Jacob Murphy, and I was thinking, bloody hell, Bruno's got a hard time getting into that squad as well.
Yeah, I thought Bruno was absolutely terrific last night.
Yeah, yeah.
See, nearly scored that one goal. His penalty was so cool and right
Yeah.
into the corner. The keeper went the right way. He's a
Hmm.
big, big goalkeeper, but he couldn't get
Yeah.
near it. That's
And
how.
the pressure and the situation as well, like that is proper clutch. That, like, because if he misses that as well, there's four. So it's a long way back. I mean, it was a long way back even with him scoring. So so yeah, so much pressure. And there was another chance he had as well after the volley, actually, where he shot it from just outside the 20-yard box and it just went wide. But yeah, you could see what he was trying, and it was a brilliant shot.
Yeah, he was involved in everything. Of course, he was involved in the first
Hmm.
goal as well. What is
Yep.
it they call it
Yep.
nowadays? Pre-assist.
Yeah.
So if he,
The statisticians are just looking for any excuse to make up a new thing, aren't they? So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, if he doesn't get an assist, he gets the pre-assist.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
I'd like to see how many of those Iniesta had in his career because
mm,
he was involved in a lot of pre-assists.
yeah, lots of it. But Bruno Fernandes, he was chasing down the goalkeeper, he was chasing down defenders. He looked
Yep,
absolutely punctured at the end. He was everywhere.
proper
And
captain's performance. He's really stepped up. For all the criticism we've always said, when you leave him out of the team, you do miss him. So as much as he frustrates,
but
he's also got this in his locker.
here's the question for you: should he be left out of some league games now?
Yes, fully. Like we've got absolutely nothing to play for in the league. We've secured Premier League status. There's no need to risk anything. Our season now really depends on Europe because in terms of attracting players, in terms of the sponsorship money, all of that, it's imperative that we're in the Champions League because that's the way this works now.
So if you're Amarim and you're having a conversation with your captain and you're saying, I'm
Yeah,
leaving you out of Wolves on Easter
yeah.
Sunday, and Bruno will obviously come back and say, no, I want to play every game. What do you say next? to that.
Listen, obviously there's a fortnight, right? So you can't just have players out in the cold altogether, but you do need rotation. So no, I'm sure you'll understand. I'm sure you'll understand. He came here to win trophies at the end of the day. And the last two seasons, we've been fortunate enough to have trophies, and that's what it's all about.
I I
And
think
this is the next step. So,
I think Wolves
he,
is the right time to move him out or to leave him out
yeah,
because last night I could see him at the end of the game. He was almost limping
hmm
as well. He was just
yeah.
so exhausted and he
And
needs
again,
rest.
listen, Wolves, listen, they've been on a fantastic run. They've not lost in the last five. I think four wins and a draw in the last five.
Hmm. And
Strand Larsen's been on form. Cunha's on form. Yeah, why?
yeah,
Why are we Why are we risking all our good players for this? For a game ultimately this season, which isn't going to amount to much. You know what are we doing here? We're chasing Everton and Crystal Palace. Why?
yeah, yeah. It's going to be Kuna's audition at Old Trafford,
Hmm
audition, sorry, at Old Trafford on Sunday. Because there's so many strong links to him coming to United in the summer. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I would leave most of the first team out of that game.
hmm
Maybe an opportunity to give Mason Mount a start, Manu a start,
Yeah.
and we'll see what happens. Luke Shaw, he did play
hmm
75, so maybe not. I don't know. But Cheetah Obi, absolutely. Harry Amas, yeah. Yeah. The
Yeah.
manager has indeed said after the game last night that he is going to play the kids now in the Premier League.
Yeah, yeah, no, because we've been seeing a lot of these kids now on the bench consistently as well. So yeah, I want to get a better look at them.
Jack Moorhouse, yeah, we haven't had a look at him yet. We
Yeah,
need
yeah,
to see him.
Morehouse, Kokonki. There's a few on there now that we've been seeing a couple of times. Yeah, just see what they're about.
Yeah, because yeah, these games are dead rubbers, really.
Yeah.
I know it's not a great look to finish 17th, but whether you
hmm
finish 17th or 13th, it's irrelevant.
It
You know?
makes bugger all difference,
Yeah,
really. I mean, there's nominal fees. Obviously, you get rewarded depending a financial fee depending on where you finish positionally, but it's nominal for a club like us. You know?
yeah, you're absolutely right. I think it's 3 million for each position, which,
Yeah.
given how did Jim Radcliffe counts the pennies,
hmm
that those probably maybe are significant sums. But
Yeah, yeah, and don't get me wrong. Listen, obviously, you'd always want to strive to finish as high as possible, right? But we have to prioritize. You have to strategize and look at the long-term vision
yeah,
of where we want to be, and Europe is crucial to that.
did you see the camera kept panning to when we were 4-2 down, when we were 5-4 up,
Hmm
the camera was panning to Wilcox and Barada in the stands, and their expression was the same
Yeah.
during both scenarios. But I'm sure they would have been raging if we'd have been knocked out
hmm
there because not just the footballing side of things of qualifying for Europe
Yeah.
next season. Now we haven't we only once since 89, 90 season have we not played European football at all. And that was
Yeah.
when David Moyes finished seventh, and the next season we weren't in Europe.
hmm hmm
And so I was Van Gaal's first season. So other than that, in the last 35 years, we have been in Europe every single season. So
Yeah.
this would only be the second time we miss out if we don't win this competition. But
hmm
another thing which the hierarchy be looking at is I think it was Mark Pritchley of the Athletic. He piled up the sums and just qualifying for the Champions League next season
Yeah.
is worth 85.6 million to Man United minimum, bare
hmm
minimum, and that's a
Obviously now, obviously, since we've been in it, they've changed the format as well. So there's 8 games in the group now instead of 6, and
yeah
this is all revenue. You know?
yeah. That sum of money could be counting the revenue from the home fixtures as well,
Yeah.
the
hmm
minimum of four.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that's essentially gives us the money to buy another striker who doesn't score any goals. So yeah, it's crucial.
And I'll tell you what, Atletico, when I was looking at the way the whole pyramid was, the way the draws were panning out, this was a game that I was looking at thinking, yeah, they're going to be tough because they're doing quite well in La Liga as well. They're like fourth at the moment. Um, and they're looking to secure fourth place, which could come in handy for us. So I'm hoping they can't really make too many changes in the league because
Yes.
Villarreal are hot on their tails, meaning that fight for fourth spot will mean that they'll have to play their first team, you know. And
Well,
I watched the highlights back as well for their game against
yes, I'm
Rangers
going to touch on
yesterday.
that. I'm going to touch on that. Yeah.
Okay, all right, I'll wait till you get to
Yeah.
that.
Um, Yeah, so they've got two ways of qualifying for the Champions League
Yeah.
next season. Bilbao, it's up to them which one they want to
Hmm.
prioritize. So hopefully it's the league from our point of view. But either way, I think it's going to be tough. Now, there's lots of way of looking at this. Um, Bilbao were dominating mo most of the two games,
Hmm.
and that's a worrying sign. Nico Williams, the star player, scored in the second
Yeah.
leg, the header at the back post. Now, another way of looking at it is that they played 77 minutes against 10 men at Ibrox and didn't
Hmm.
score.
And couldn't break them down. And
Yeah,
listen, the shots can rain down all day long, but if you're not
no,
finding the back of the
they,
net, it's
they, did,
rather pointless.
they didn't find the back of the net at all in
Yeah.
the tie until half
Yeah.
time in the second leg, and that was a penalty
Hmm.
kick. Um,
Yep.
now,
The only thing I will say, the second goal, the one that the Nico Williams one, that's the kind of goal that I can see us getting caught out with. So we would have to,
yeah,
prepare
yeah,
properly
and,
for things like that.
yeah, another thing, Nico Williams is going to be directly up against Dallo, which is a
Yeah.
very, very big concern.
Yep. Yep.
Um, we're going to need someone to double up there. The right sided centre
Hmm.
half is going to have to help Dallo out there, or Ugarte's going to have to
Yeah.
come across. You cannot give that man any time and space.
Nope. No, not at all. So yeah, so it's not a threat we should take lightly at all, but we can't afford to keep making silly, silly errors. Because when you really think about it, over the course of the two legs, I don't think Lyon really caused us any problems. It was all
You
a
know,
mess of our own making.
it seems strange to say there was 13 goals in the tie, and Lyon got six of them. We got seven.
Hmm.
I,
It's
I, I
insane,
didn't
isn't it?
I didn't feel like I was watching two good teams. I thought I was watching two bad teams play each other, to be honest.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, it was great entertainment, I'm sure, for the neutral.
Hmm.
But yeah, another thing about last night in Bilbao was that Rangers hit the post. The keeper
Hmm.
made a good save, but it deflected off the keeper and hit the post, and that was at 1-0. Rangers
Yeah,
did
and
have
that's the other thing that gave me a bit of confidence as well. It wasn't like it was completely one-sided and Rangers were out at the time. Rangers were very much in it and they created chances.
the created chance. Another thing I have to say is Cyril Dessers, the Rangers striker who scored against us, had
Hmm.
the shirt ripped off him. There's a big hole in his jersey, and somehow a penalty wasn't given.
Hmm.
Yeah, so Bilbao will give us opportunities, but we have to be
Yep.
clinical. But another thing, we have to be solid at the back. We cannot
Yeah,
concede
definitely.
four goals in a row and expect to
Nope.
get away with it against Bilbao.
Nope. We can't make silly mistakes and expect to. And especially the other thing, they've got added impetus as well because obviously the final is played at their home ground.
Yeah, so one or two things is going to happen. Either Bilbao are going to play the final on the home ground, or United's going to be in the final. One of those things
Yeah,
has to happen, and I
yeah,
just hope it's the latter.
definitely. It's got to be. Yesterday's got to mean something. When you win like that, when you show the mentality, even though it shouldn't have got to that in the first place, but we'll leave that to the side for now. When you come back in that kind of fashion and you leave everyone just flabbergasted, it's got to mean something. You got to make it count. You got to bottle that, whatever that is, and channel it in the right manner to make sure that we get over the line now.
Yeah, I think the manager talked about bottling the noise of the final two
Yeah,
goals that went in.
yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
wanted this moment to mean
Yeah, because
something.
I'll tell you what, mate. This morning I woke up. The first thing I saw this morning when I opened my eyes was I watched Matt Rio Ferdinand's reaction.
Robbie
And
Savage was celebrating as well.
I just watched Matt Rio's reaction, and then I just put on the highlights and the goals again, the replays. It was just what a feeling, huh? It just makes it all worthwhile. Like all the depression, all the times we've been here, just miserable. Just one game like that, and just it's amazing what football can do.
Yeah, absolutely unbelievable. I think it was three goals in 6 minutes by United and
Yeah,
two at the at in added on time of
I
extra
think
time.
that's the first time that's ever happened. I was reading a little thing on the
That's
timeline
right.
somewhere. Yeah, first time ever a team scored two goals in the 120th minute.
The first time since United have been involved in a 5-4 since 1958 against
Madness.
against Arsenal, and it was our final domestic fixture before Munich as well. So
Wow.
there's a piece of history.
Mm, there you go.
But yeah, so last season when we had this amazing game against Liverpool at Old Trafford, and I was there in
Yeah.
Stratford End, and what a privilege it was.
Hmm.
We went on to win the competition. That's what we
Yeah.
had to do this time, as you say.
Yeah.
We have to. This has to mean something. Doesn't None of this matters
Exactly.
at all if we get knocked out by Bilbao. But
Exactly.
one
They
thing
all got
is,
to rally round.
so Spurs got through last night against Eintracht
Yep.
Frankfurt, which I didn't think that they would. Um,
Yeah.
they got a penalty because the
They got a
Frankfurt
penalty.
goalkeeper absolutely clattered
Mm.
into James Maddison.
Yeah, I don't know what
Uh,
he was thinking there. It was an absolute nonsense.
yeah, and then Bodo Glimt got through
Yeah.
on
Yep.
penalties against
Yep.
Lazio.
Again, that as well. That was for what a finish that was, huh? Went all the way to pens.
Yeah,
Lazio were the better team for me. Out of the two. Last week, the state of that pitch at Bordeaux Glimpse was crazy. I almost felt like they should have played in skates.
yeah.
And then they had, unfortunately, because of the way the fixtures are, they had the Rhone derby at the weekend as well. So
Mm.
for them, they had to rotate, which I can kind of understand. But yeah, they just left it too late, really, and there was nothing else they could really do. But yeah, I don't think anybody should take them lightly either. Anything can happen. I remember Bordeaux Glimpse a couple of years ago against Jose's Roma, completely annihilated them, which nobody was expecting.
Yeah, they gave us a difficult game at Old Trafford, 3-2. It was a
Yeah.
brilliant season. But I look at the European home record, Bodo Glimt. Nobody
Mm,
goes there and wins. Um,
yeah.
it's way up on
It's
the
because
Arc.
of the state of the pitch and because of the weather. Like nobody's
Yeah,
used to that.
yeah, it's way up on the Arctic Circle.
Yeah, yeah. Unless you're a Russian team, no one's going there and just, playing comfortably.
Yeah, it's a plastic pitch, and it must be sub-zero temperatures. It must be
Yeah.
if you're coming from mainland Europe up there, it must
Yeah,
be
it's insane.
a real culture shock. So
Yeah.
Spurs might find it difficult in the away leg up there.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. They can, yeah.
Spurs are the type of team that would go there and lose.
Yeah. Like on paper, it would be amazing. It would be an amazing spectacle if it were to be an all English affair.
Yeah, it
But
would.
then,
But
yeah,
tell you what, I'd rather have Bodo Glimt in the final if we
yeah,
get through. Yeah,
most definitely.
yeah,
But I tell you what, though, just looking at the laws of averages, I was like, oh, we've been terrible against Spurs this year, but we're due a win.
yeah. I don't think we were. I think we were. You could argue that the one in the cup
The
and
League Cup, yeah,
and
yeah,
the league game at the Tottenham
yeah,
Hotspur Stadium, I thought you could argue with the better team with the better chances.
yeah. The only one we were really outplayed was the first one when
Yeah, where Bruno was sent
Ten Hag
off.
was still here. Yeah, that one.
It was
The red
overturned
card was
that sent them. Mm.
yeah, it was rescinded afterwards, but yeah, that day it was disgusting. And thank goodness Timo Werner isn't a better footballer, or it would have been a lot
Or
worse.
yeah, or a better finisher. Yes.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, he really could have punished us that day.
but
Oh,
I have to say, out of the three potential opponents in semi-finals, we've got by far the most difficult one. I have to say.
yeah,
So,
yeah, most definitely. But
so
then on the plus side, if we overcome this challenge, you have to be confident in the final.
yeah, I have to say, the on paper, semi-final
Yeah,
is going to be more difficult than the final itself.
yeah, definitely. But again, like we've seen this week, man, nothing's won on paper, right? We've got to turn up. We got to do it. We've got to get over the line. Because I'll tell you what, in the Champions League draw, if you told me 2 weeks ago that Arsenal were going to comfortably beat Real Madrid in both legs, I probably would have chuckled.
Mhm. Yeah, fully deserved it as well.
Fully deserved it as well. Yep, can't take anything away from them. Mind you, I hope PSG smack them, but I'll be there every step of the way to
Yeah,
hate.
yeah. Strangely enough, yeah, PSG will be more difficult than Real Madrid. Not often you see
Yeah,
that, like not often.
yeah,
Um,
no, because Luis Enrique's gone in there and done a brilliant job. He's got the egos and the Galacticos stuff out of there and actually built a team.
yeah, and that's the Mickey Mouse competition. We're in the real European
Hmm.
football. Um,
And I'll tell you what, interesting fact as well. Both Luis Enrique and Hansi Flick with Barca and PSG, they're both on for a treble,
yeah, but
and both managers who have previously done trebles as well. So very
yeah,
interesting.
a million miles away from our football, to be honest.
Listen, at this moment in time, I'm just taking some solace in our European run. We'll worry about all of that later.
Yeah, definitely. We had to focus on ourselves. At
Yeah.
4-2 last night, I was thinking, oh, the season's over. All we're going to have left is a bunch of dead
Yep.
rubbers that nobody cares about.
Honestly, I was absolutely dejected at 4-2. I'm a glutton for punishment, so I didn't like walk off or nothing, like because I'm used to seeing us
Yeah,
crumble sometimes now. So now I just watch all the way to the end. I don't, but yeah, I was just hoping more than anything, just with blind faith, I guess, that there could be a chance, an inkling that we could somehow get back into it. But yeah, no, not in my wildest dreams did I think it would finish the way it did. For
and I've seen clips of people who left the ground, and then
hmm
when they were outside the stadium. It must have been in on the ground floor. There was a TV screen somewhere.
Yeah, yeah,
All these
yeah.
fans were gathered around the TV
They just
screen
gathered around, yeah,
cheering,
screaming and
and then
shouting.
other fans who were further away had heard the cheering, came running back, to see
Yep,
on the TV screen what had
yep.
happened there. So I think
It all adds to it, doesn't it? It all adds to it. Like I'm not one to judge, man. Like you pay your money, you're free to do what you want to do. And it's been difficult. It's been difficult. We've been going through a tough time. If some people want to leave early, like that's up to them.
and there's a lot of people who leave early anyway to beat the traffic. So
Yeah, exactly. So there's a whole host of reasons in it. So I'm not one of those to judge those that walked out and stuff. And I'm sure they loved it just as much as anyone else. Even when they're if they're in the lobby, the corridor, outside the stadium, wherever. You know.
yeah, because I would I've never left early before because
Hmm.
you, I'm only going over a few times a year, so or
Exactly. For us, Kyle, like it's such a privilege to go over that. I usually stay even after everyone else is gone. Because I don't get to do it too often.
yeah, if you, I'm only in there for 90 minutes of the maybe
Exactly.
the entire
But
year.
then there's a lot of these guys as well. If you're a season ticket holder and you're there, like every every home game, it's also understandable.
Yeah, yeah, and if you live only a few miles away, you understand
Yeah,
what would be the
exactly.
traffic. If you got work the
Yeah.
next morning,
Hmm.
and you're going to be back at Old Trafford again on Sunday, so yeah, you can
Exactly.
understand that.
So
Yeah.
it's one of those, isn't it? So yeah, that's what it is.
So player ratings time. Looking forward to this.
Hmm.
So Onana made that brilliant save low to his right.
Hmm.
That was his highlight of the match. But you were critical of him pushing it out for the second goal.
Yeah.
No, it was over the line anyway. But
Yeah.
o- overall, I would say that there was none of the goals were mistakes by Onana, and some of them I don't think, like the header from Toloso, the goal from Jerky. I'm not sure he
Yeah.
was getting anywhere near those goals. And
Yeah, the first one in retrospect, because I had to look back at that this morning because I had to sleep on it because the header for me, I think it's more the fact that he doesn't dive. You know, I just think aesthetically, it just looks terrible when a keeper doesn't make a dive and he's just there looking at it. But it was far enough away from him that yeah, I don't even think it would have made a difference had he dived. To be fair, it's just one of those personal things where I prefer it if keepers look as
and
if they're making an effort.
and last night I have to mention that he was coming off his line and attacking
Yeah,
the ball, punching it clear,
yeah, yeah,
which is what I've been critical of him for not
yeah.
doing. So
Hmm.
I'll give him a 6, which is strange because he's
Mm.
conceded 4 goals, but I don't think.
Yeah, yeah, it's a mixed bag. The penalty, I can't blame him for. Penalties are 50-50. It's one of those. But yeah, the Tagliafico one, yeah, I personally I think he should do better there. But even that, I take into consideration that Lenny Euro got hit in the face, so he probably was still a bit dazed and wasn't there to block the shot the way he should have been. So I'll give him that too. Yeah, it's just both things really. The fact that he digged it out, and then even when you're trying to stop a shot like that, even had it not crossed the line, when you're parrying it straight in front of what chance have you got? Laka was there for the tap in. Not that that mattered anyway, because the first one counted. But you know what I mean? You,
I
you
tell you
can't
what,
do that.
like that, he thought he had won the game. Uh,
He did. He
he
did.
was
He thought he did.
he was charging down to the dugout with his hand,
Yeah.
with his arms out.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
it was a bit premature, their celebrations, of course,
Hmm.
and it reminded me of Luther Mertes in 1999, high-fiving everybody on the bench.
Yeah, listen, yeah, listen. You're 90 seconds out. You think it's job done, in it. So yeah, how quickly
Yeah,
the game can change. I just remember the aftermath of that where they were all just shell shocked, and poor Samuel Kufor was just crying and just smashing his fist against the lawn.
yeah,
He was just punching the ground. It's like he just wanted the new camp to just swallow him up. It's how quickly things can change. Because if we're being honest, that day, like they were the better team. But it's not
yeah.
about who's better on the day. You have to get over the
No,
line.
as Mourinho would say, about nothing, about winning. Uh,
Hmm.
but it is at the end of the day.
Ultimately, that's what it all is. Yeah, yeah. We can all have our opinions on style and what's nice to us to watch and what's not. But at the end of the day, all anyone's going to remember is who won the trophy.
Yeah, and Lacazette last night at the end with his head in his shirt like this. But I wanted the cameraman didn't show they kept showing the Lyon fans when they were winning. I wanted to
Hmm.
see them at the end, and they wouldn't show them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They zoomed in on them at 4-2 when they
Yeah,
when they were proper rocking, but not after.
yeah, and And I wanted them to show Matic at the end as well because
Yeah, yeah,
they went 4-2 up. He came onto the pit to celebrate
yeah,
with
yeah.
the players. So Onana in the end had the last laugh after the spot with
Yep,
Matic,
yep.
which is great to see. In
Oh,
fact,
another thing on
yeah,
Onana,
yeah.
Kyle.
I know. I
I
think I know
heard.
what you're going to
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
He he
Him and
scored.
his new agent, they need a good slap.
Oh, not that. I was going to say that
Oh, okay.
the first two goals, he was going up and celebrating in front of the Lyon fans.
Oh, that too. That too. That annoyed me as well. Like, because without, yeah, why? He did it last week as well, and I didn't like it. He was antagonizing their fans. When we came back in at 2-1, he was turning around and giving it the big one, and then he goes and makes a mistake like he did. So it's just nonsense in it, really.
Yeah, as I've said, he should leave that to the end once you've won the game.
Yes, yes. If you must, leave it till the end. But have some decorum, man. Act like you belong and you've been there before. You don't even need to do that when you beat an opposition. Keep it respectful, keep it classy.
Yeah, but I suppose if you want to look at it another way, they were chanting at him and booing him,
Yeah, I
and
suppose that's the one thing in the defense of goalkeepers, because especially when the fans have been right behind you, you must just go for a torrid time, right? You just get insulted for 90 minutes.
yeah,
So I do understand that side as well.
I would say some of the fans, some of the chants were derogatory as well. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was.
And
So yeah, so that's definitely understandable. We're all human at the end of the day.
what were we going to say about his agent?
Oh,
Onana?
so basically, yeah, I don't know how true this is. I've heard, some things this week apparently about him. He switched agents,
Hmm.
and apparently they went for a sit down at OT because they're not happy with the fact that if we don't qualify for Europe, there's a whole bunch of players who have to take a 25% deduction in wages. So apparently, him and his new agent went to, discuss rearranging the terms of the deal to restructure. Yeah, I would have slapped them both, mate. I'm not going to lie to you. And I would have been like 25. We should be renegotiating your contract down further, mate. If anything.
Yeah, I would transfer list him for that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Basically, like, could you imagine if he did that to Fergie? Oh, Fergie would have got him the hell up out of there.
But
Would have just looked. Yeah.
that new
So
agent though has
yeah.
a recent record of
Mm.
transferring players to the Saudi Pro League.
Hallelujah. If he wants the money, that's where he can go. It'll be a welcome move, as far as I'm concerned. To be honest, that's probably the only way we're going to claw back anything close to what we got for him anyway. So, yeah, I'm happy for him to move there.
As always, it will come down to whether he's willing to make that move or not.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully he is. I mean, if that's such an issue that he felt the need to go and talk to them about it, the restructuring of the wages, then I'm sure it plays a part.
It will, if if Amarim tells him you're not going to be my number one goalkeeper next season, then
Yeah, yeah,
he he will have to explore his options.
yeah. You'll have to. Because I know
So
in Saudi, like last summer, they tried to sign Edison for like 30 odd million, but City wanted like 60, so that didn't transpire. I'd be more than happy if we get a 30 million pound offer for Ronaldo.
that would be a result.
That would be a result. Anything else would be an added bonus, really.
So Mazrahi came off at half time. I'll give him a six.
Hmm.
He wasn't involved in much of the drama.
Yeah,
Um, Maguire, oh wow, he got an assist and a goal. Would you believe?
yeah, yeah. And like you say, probably our most potent threat up top.
Yeah, should have had a penalty with his shirt was being ripped off.
Yeah, yeah. He really should have. He really should
I give Maguire an eight.
have.
Maguire gets an eight.
Yeah.
Lenny Yarrow, yeah, it was some howlers in there, but some good defending and some good forward play, and he basically won the red card, if you like,
Hmm.
same way Dargu did it against Sociedad. So
Mm.
I give him a seven. Diogo Dallo, yeah, a real mixed bag from him, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Um,
Yeah.
I'll give him a seven because he scored a well taken goal, I have to say,
Hmm.
and would have been an unbelievable assist for Bruno's wonder goal if it had.
Oh, it would have been that. Oh, I
It, it,
so deserved the goal. That was
it would have
stunning.
been it would have been similar to Wayne Rooney's assist for Van Persie against Aston Villa.
Definitely, yeah, yeah. Honestly, that would have been a contender for goal of the season. That had that gone in.
Yeah, we'll be talking about it 20 years from now. Yeah, if that went in.
Definitely, definitely.
So Casemiro, yeah, yeah, the final three goals were all involving him.
Hmm.
Penalty, one and two assists. So I'll give
Yep,
Casemiro an eight. Manuel Ugarte scored the opener. He's like a long time ago.
yep.
Um, yeah, well done to him, and I'll give him a seven for that. Um, Patrick Dorgu, probably one of the weakest performers on the night, I have to say.
Yeah, mixed bag for him. But again, like I give him a lot of leeway. He's 20 years old. He's he's come from Lecce. It's a big step up, and it's a position that he's not even used to playing. So that's it's a project player, isn't he? So he's gonna have these. It's gonna be a mixed bag with him for some time.
Yeah, and he's he's going to have competition from Diego Leon, Harry Amas, and maybe Luke
Yeah,
Shaw in the short term for that position. It's crazy amount
yeah,
of
yeah,
left backs now at the club.
yeah. I mean, with Luke Shaw, if I'm being honest, I probably see him as cover for left centre back now more than right wing back. I think we might kill him if we try to play right wing back, left
Yeah,
wing back rather. Sorry.
yeah, I think you're right.
So yeah.
He'd have to improve his match
It-
fitness enormously to
yeah,
do that.
you do, and then you got to protect his legs as well because he's made out of biscuits. So
Yeah,
yeah, left centre back rotation
but
option, and
yeah,
even that is only because we know we can't get rid of him, right? Because if I could, I would. But that contract he's on, I mean,
but
he'd be silly to walk away from it because he's never going to earn that again in his life.
but in theory, we're going to have four left backs next season.
Yeah, in theory.
Yeah. So Dorgu, I give him a five. Bruno
Yeah,
Fernandes, yeah, a real captain's performance as we touched on.
yeah.
Um, Heavily involved in
Hmm.
much of our good stuff, and it's the first goal. They scored the penalty. Nearly scored a wonder goal. Yeah, I'll give him an 8 out of 10. Rasmus Højlund, probably our weakest performer on the night yet again. Wasn't involved in anything really. Not working hard enough in my opinion, and I would give him a 4. Lucky to stay on as long as he did. Alejandro Garnacho, that's an interesting one. The assist for the first goal, lovely pullback, was always causing problems. But again, there'd have been none of this drama had he scored the third goal at 2-0
Yeah,
and put the
yeah.
tie to bed.
Honestly, we could have avoided all of this.
Could have been
But
a
I
comf
don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, it's definitely not for my art, but I also think there's a lot of good that comes from a performance like this, where it just shows the strength and grit and determination and perseverance, that can really reinvigorate a team.
time will tell.
Yeah.
Um, so Garnacho, I will give him a 6. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, would have been much more than that if he'd have scored
Is
that
is
goal.
decision making, man. Like he's got the attitude and the confidence of CR, but not anything else that goes with it.
Yeah, but still at an age where when CR7 was still
It's
developing.
very true. He was very raw. Like because we forget as well. I don't know if it's we just look through rose tinted glasses at yesteryear because the first 3 seasons of Ronaldo, the first 2 seasons especially, it was step overs and falling over.
Yeah, definitely. So bench Shaw played 75 minutes and gave the penalty away, but you can see how good he is on the ball and how composed he is.
Yeah,
Lovely deliveries into the middle. Um,
getting anything out of Shaw is a bonus for me. So the fact that he's even managed that long on his
so,
comeback is kind of impressive.
but
But like you say, obviously the weight issue, he's got to work on that. I do think he's a bit slightly overweight at the moment, and match sharpness and all of that will come right if he can stay healthy. The penalty thing, yeah, he'll be a very relieved boy today.
so I'll give him a 5.
Mm.
Kobe Manu, what more can I say? What a classy individual.
Class, just quality, just mature beyond his years. I don't know if it's the haircut or what, but I'm taking him more seriously now as an adult.
As you say, as you say, the new Clarence Seedorf.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I see elements. I see elements, and that's big praise because that's a player that I rate very highly. Like I put him all the way up there. He's probably underrated for his generation. Probably doesn't get the credit he deserves.
Yeah. So it has to be an 8, just given the importance of that goal and how well
Yeah,
taken it was.
so well taken. The composure with people around him as well, and at that time, it's just incredible.
And Mason Mount, whilst not involved in goals, I thought he was really good when he came on.
Yeah, this is the thing with bloody Mason Mount because we've been saying it this year. He just needs to stay fit because he is ideal for this manager if he can stay fit. We just need to see a consistent run.
Yeah. So yeah, and you knew you were going to get a shift at bare minimum from
Hmm.
Mason Mount, and yeah, some nice link up play with his teammates as well. So
Hmm.
7 out of 10 for Mason Mount, and Christian Eriksen came on after 100 minutes, didn't play very long. So did Harry Hamas. So I'll give them both sixes. They did their
Hmm.
job well. So Amorim, um, so we won 5-4, so we had to give him praise. And substitutions did score. Maguire going up top, that worked as well. But you can argue that Menu and Mount should have come on earlier. Hoyland should have come off earlier. Yeah, you could argue that he should never have started with Hoyland to begin with, maybe, if we're being.
It's yeah,
But
it's an interesting one, isn't it, Carl? Because I think we look at it two different ways. Like if we're judging his substitutions in the 90 minutes, I think it paints a different picture to what we saw in the whole game with added time as well.
yeah,
Like if we include added time, then yes, the changes he made, they all contributed and made a difference. If we looked at just what happened during the 90 minutes, I think we might have more criticisms. So it's a mixed bag.
yeah, definitely. And I was going to criticize the substitution at half time because I didn't think
Hmm.
Mazrahi deserved to come off. But given
Yeah,
what
yeah.
what I now know, then
Yeah, that it's not a footballing decision that led to it, so it's fair enough, right? It's one of
it,
those.
it was
Unfortunate.
enforced. And
Yeah.
he had a big call to make on the goalkeeper, and I
Hmm.
suppose in the end it was the right one because we won the game and he made a
Yeah,
good
listen,
save.
we're through, and listen, that one, I don't know if there would have been any winners either way because at the weekend we saw Bayern Deer. Obviously, the fourth goal that's on him because obviously the distribution, the kick out was terrible, and we lost. So that one's on him. So both keepers have shown in the last 2 weeks that they're capable of mistakes. He's made a call, and we got through.
Yeah, and he made a call to keep Casemiro on right to the end, and that turned out to be the right call as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Because as I said earlier, both of us, we would have preferred a player of that age, a player
hmm,
whose legs have diminished, to come off much earlier. But he ended up being
yeah.
crucial to us winning the game.
Exactly. And this is when, because obviously we do forget sometimes the quality and experience of these guys.
Mm.
And it's not just about age. Like, we have to, yeah, you have to look at the actual
Yeah,
quality of the player too. And he's been there and done it. This is light work compared to some of the stuff he's done over the last decade. So the fact that he's still got that in his locker, obviously he can't do it week in, week out now. But yeah, the fact that he's got that in him is brilliant. And he's an asset.
yeah, I'd be happy if he starts the two legs against Bilbao, but the league games
Yeah.
around that, he just plays the odd.
Wrap him up in cotton wool.
Yeah, yeah, but obviously you can't just play three games from between now and the end of the season if we make
Yeah.
it to the final. You have to give him minutes here and there as
Oh
well.
yeah, that's the crucial thing, isn't it? Obviously, we can't just completely isolate these guys. You got to keep them ticking. You got to keep them match fit. But it's a fine balance.
Yep. So Amorim, I'll give him a seven. But
Yeah,
if it just shows you what a difference the result makes. If we had went out last night, it could have been a
yeah,
two for Amorim.
yeah,
Just so.
definitely. But I'll tell you what, though, I was feeling bad for him because even when it completely turned, I was like, oh, this isn't really on Amram. Like it's the players. Like,
Yeah,
what's a manager to do when people just make mistakes like this? And. So I
and
would have felt bad for him had we crashed out because there would have been a lot of people as well. I mean, you've seen it on social media. It's probably not the best sample size to judge, but there's always a lot of criticism on there. I've been hearing stuff on fan channels and that in the last week or so. People already wanting him out, which to me is absolutely ridiculous.
yeah, people are starting to drag up the league record of only 6 wins since he came in.
Yeah, yeah, but they just don't really add context, or I just don't know if they don't understand, or I don't know what it is to be honest, Carl. I've stopped trying to understand
The thing,
comprehend these things.
the thing is, for me, is that he hasn't even had a summer transfer window yet. We have to give him
That's
that.
that's what I mean. Like for me, there's a caveat to all of this. Like you have to look at the situation, the way the things transpired. We went into the season completely different. We got rid of the manager. He asked if he could stay at Sporting till the end of the season. We gave him an ultimatum and said no, it's now or never. So he's come in, been chucked in at the deep end, knowing full well as well, by the way, that he plays a certain system and style, and they said, all right, he obviously hasn't got the ingredients that he needs to do what he wants to do. And then obviously one hand tied behind our back because we've spent big in the summer. So come January, I can understand the hesitation. And we're trying to clear wages and get rid of, A, B, and C and whatnot before you can bring anyone in. And then the one player you do give him is a 20-year-old unproven up and coming talent. That's going to take time. So all of this into focus. I don't know what people were expecting, to be honest.
Yeah,
And even if I'll tell you what, even if he has a fantastic window this summer, there's going to be people that are doing like little mini 10 game watches thinking, oh, I'm going to see how he does in the first 10 games and then I'm going to make up my mind. And you know as well as I do, when there's a big influx of players coming in, it takes time to gel. It might not work immediately. So for me, the earliest I can judge him really is probably at the end of next season. If this time next year we're sat here in a similar position, I can understand the criticism. I'll hold my hands up. I'll be like, all right, cool, this might not be the direction to go in. But before then, I think it's very harsh.
yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, at the end of next season is probably the right time to judge him.
Yeah,
And that'll give him three windows, albeit two of them
yeah. And
January's.
then
But
also what people have to keep in mind as well is the fairly short contract we've offered him. I think it's like 2.5 years in that. So even the board, are wary with this direction that they've gone in. So, I think they'll learn from the mistakes of the past. Because how many times have we done it over the years? Um, Mourinho got given an extension, then sacked. Ten Hag, they exercised the option, then sacked. Solskjaer got given the new contract and then sacked. And you can't keep paying out like this. It doesn't make sense.
yeah, well, if they're happy at the end of next season with the
Yeah.
progress, then they might give him an extension. Let's see what happens. But
Yeah, absolutely. And that's not something that you have to do early on. You can just wait and see how things end up. My only concern would be obviously because this guy plays a particular style and he's going to live and die by that sword.
mhm.
You obviously need to recruit according to that. But then you also need to have a contingency plan in place as to what comes after if you do at some point decide that he's not the one and that you move
Yeah,
on. So do you then have players that fit several systems? Do you recruit another manager who plays the same or similar style? Because
uh,
that is the murky waters.
yeah. Well, Dorgu can play in several systems. That's definitely true.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I'm going to keep a close eye on that as well in the summer. I'm fairly certain whilst they'll adapt to the manager and try and get what he wants, they'll look at profiles of players who can fit several systems because you can't just have one for everything.
And no doubt Ian Haven can play in a back four as well. If
Yeah.
need be. But then and the other way of looking at that is that if they decide that they have the players that they have recruited fit a 3-4-3
Hmm.
system, then they can, if they decide Amrim's not the man at some point,
Yeah.
then you're obviously going to be looking in the direction of Inzaghi at Inter Milan or something then, aren't you? Uh,
Definitely, yeah, because the way we're going, like, because that is pretty much the template, really, of what we need to get to if we continue to follow this formation. Because that's a very good example of how it's done at a very high standard. But the thing is, they've got a couple of players that are absolute worldies and who are really needed for that system to work. They've got Franco Di Marco on the left as a left wing back, and he's like a specialist left wing back, and he's brilliant. And then you've got absolute quality in the likes of Lautaro Martinez and Nicolo Barella in midfield and Bastone at the back. And it's an
and
absolute dream in it. We can only fathom what it would be like if we had some of those
and,
players.
and somebody you left out is the one and only Matteo Darmian.
I tell you what, the Italian Gary Neville, mate, and I'll tell
Yeah,
you what, he certainly shocked me because I didn't think he had the capability to play as a wing back, but they use him as a right wing back.
seen the highlights the other night. He nearly
Yeah,
scored.
yeah. Oh, I'll tell you what, another one of our old boys, Mickey, in his veteran age, about the same age as me, Mkhitaryan, and he does a wonderful job for them. Kakanoglu as well in his 30s, very settled. Used to be a 10, more of a 10 back in his youth, but he settled into a more, holding role. So yeah, very, very good pragmatic team that gets the job done.
Yeah,
He's done an incredible job there, Simeone Inzaghi.
I want Amrim to succeed, but
Yeah.
if we went down the Inzaghi route, I would be very pleased with that as well.
Yeah, yeah. See, this is the thing, though, isn't it? Like, if we look around Europe, there's no more like just veteran certified managers anymore that are viable options. The Ancelottis, the Klopps, the Contes, the Peps. Either they're due to circumstance or due to age. It's not feasible. So everybody's taking a risk. Look at Bayern Munich. From Burnley to Bayern Munich for Vincent Company.
Yeah.
Enzo Maresca from Championship to Chelsea. Everyone's taking a risk. So it's one of those.
So yeah, Amorim has only had two signings who are both kids so far. So for me, it's
Hmm.
impossible to judge them at this moment in time.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, at the end of next season, we can make a proper judgment. And
exactly. If at the end of next season, yeah, or this time next year, basically, if we're in a similar position in the league, then fair enough.
yeah,
We can look at it and be like, yeah, we might
if
need to move in a different direction.
yeah, if we're 13th this time
Yeah,
next year, then it's over.
yeah,
He's not going
yeah,
to be
yeah,
here long term.
yeah.
If we're sixth or fifth this time next year,
And
then
even then, I'm
different
very
story.
realistic, Kyle. Like for me, next season, mate, I my aim is top 10. You know,
Yeah,
and
yeah, you've said that before, and
yeah,
I can
and
see
some
where,
people think I'm lowballing when I
and,
say that.
I know where you're coming from, but I don't think that
Yeah,
would be good enough for the board now if he was 10th next season.
but the thing is, when you look at the amount of competition in our league,
Yeah,
Kyle,
but
like I think that's realistic.
we have to be beating some of that competition. That's just the way it is. That we're
I mean, we
Manchester United.
absolutely have to, but look at the table. Look at the amount of competition, even for the Europa spots. It's insane.
Yeah, we have to be above I was say Burnley. We have to be above the Brentfords and the Bournemouths next season and the Brightons.
Listen, at this moment in time, we are currently 14th in the table. We're 10 points off 10 place Brighton. And
Yeah.
now Fulham and Bournemouth are also on the same points as Brighton,
So,
on 48. And
but the
then there's a little bit of a gap.
but
And then you've got Aston Villa and Chelsea on 54 points, fighting it out for sixth and seventh. Then you've got Man City, who have dropped off but are on 55. And they're no doubt going to spend another 150 to 200 million because they can, you know.
yeah,
Nottingham Forest, fair enough. You might see a drop off there. They're the one surprise package of the season. Newcastle have gone from strength to strength. Like, so where, yeah, realistically, I don't know, man. It's difficult.
I think you're lowballing.
I mean, listen, expect nothing and you can't be disappointed, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's what I'm doing here. But if I'm being realistic, like just to make it into the top 10 now is it's a job in itself, like compared to where we are, because we're so far behind that now at the moment. I just think it's going to take time,
Yeah.
even with a good window.
The recruitment has to be
Spot on.
brilliant,
It has to be A1. It has to
and
be,
they have to gel very quickly. Yeah.
they have to hit the ground running. And that's the thing. Like, you need to really go on a run in this league. It's so punishing. Like, there's no other league like it.
Yet one team has ran away with the Premier League this season. In fact,
Yeah, yeah, they have, yeah. Only
right,
two losses. But again, even then, like Arsenal have only lost three games. It's just that this season they've drawn a stupid amount, which
mm,
is where they've let themselves down. But I guess that comes from back to back, close
yeah,
succession, running City down.
yeah,
It's
and
bound to take a toll on you mentally.
uh, what is more important to us is the fact that Bilbao only lost 4 games this season in the league.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that gives you an idea
Uh,
of the task.
and we've lost 14.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think that's the joint record actually. So I think one more loss and we would have,
was
we would have
Tottenham lost
another
seven,
record broken.
Tottenham lost 17 games in this season.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Dude, it's just a strange season. And so United and Spurs anchored in the bottom half of the season, yet both are in
yep,
the Europa League semi-finals. It's
yeah, yeah. It's insane, isn't it? And
what does
again,
it say about
Tottenham.
other leagues that United can go and beat a team in
Yeah,
mid-table in La Liga and go and beat the team fourth in France
yeah, yeah. And
and in
what does
Europe?
it also say that teams currently 14th and 15th in the Premier League? They had summer windows where they were spending close to 60 million on single players.
Yeah.
They dropped 60 on Dominic Solanke. I think Euro was what, like 58 or something. You know,
What
other
does it
leagues don't have the same
what does it
capacity.
say that Spurs, where are they in the Premier League? Fucking, I don't know,
15th currently.
15th.
Yeah, yeah.
And they
One
can
point
go
behind us.
they can put the third best team in Bundesliga out of Europe.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
suppose it's
And
two
then
way.
also, if you look at the Bundesliga as well, Carl, you will see that after the top two teams, there's a big drop off in points.
Yeah, there is.
Leverkusen are about 6 points off of Bayern Munich, but then there's a big gap from second to third.
12. Yeah, 12.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So Manchester United are in the Europa League semi-finals against
Hmm.
Athletic Bilbao, the toughest draw possible. On the other half of the draw is Tottenham against Bodo Glimt. So as I said earlier, this will. I just want to get through this semi-final, and then if we do, I'll be
Yeah.
quietly confident about winning the final. But Hopefully it's
Listen, if we get to the final, I don't care who the hell we're facing. You know,
yeah,
it's yeah,
yeah,
it's just about getting to the final. Once you're in the
it's,
final, it doesn't matter who. You have to be up
yeah,
for it.
yeah. I would be quietly confident that we could beat Spurs. Uh,
Yeah, and one thing I did say to you at the start of the season as well is that even though I wasn't confident in the league, we are set up to be a cup team as we've proven in the last 2 seasons. So this should be our bread and butter now. This is natural, the next step in
yeah,
progressing. League Cup to FA Cup to Euro Cup, you know. And these players have been there, they've been to finals, they've experienced winning.
yeah.
So yeah, no excuses really. Just gotta cut out the silly mistakes.
A final against Bodo Glimt would be a dream.
That would be insane. Yeah.
Yeah, famous last words. Um,
Yeah, it would.
uh, yeah, but make no mistake, this is going to be a
Mm.
mammoth task against
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
because, like with every round we're going up in quality, and if we're
Hmm.
conceding 6 goals across 2 games against
Yep.
Lyon, you're asking for trouble against Bilbao. They would punish you heavily if we were going to be all over the place at the back and the goalkeepers could
Exactly.
throw shots in. You know,
Exactly. And this is the thing though with Anand's,
He-
even when he does the simple things, I don't know about you, mate, but my heart skips a beat.
I know, I
There's
know.
just that little, every time he catches the ball, I'm just like, oh, as he held it properly, like it's very
Can't
unnerving.
You can't keep outplaying your own goalkeeper.
Yeah,
You can't
yeah,
expect to score 7 goals in every tie.
exactly. Without a recognized striker at that as well.
Yeah, so yeah, 5 goals last night and none of them from a striker.
None of them from a striker. Yeah, that's the thing.
So we shall wrap it up there. Please, everybody, smash a like on the video if you're watching on YouTube. Drop us a wee comment if you're watching on YouTube or you're listening on Apple or Spotify. And please subscribe to the podcast and get the word out there to as many United fans as possible. And Brush, it's been a pleasure as always.
Absolutely, and a happy Easter to everyone.
Yeah, happy Easter.